Hello, hello. This is the My Artifact episode number 3583. Today's date is September 11, 2025. It's been almost like a morning at 8:33 a.m. All right, let's just jump into the question. All right. Okay. Okay. Question is, how can I improve or change my product to stay ahead? Okay. Okay. What exactly is this question? Okay, this question is actually associated with a business and startup, and I wanted to establish a startup business. Okay, I am not graduate person. I haven't done any MBA or things like that. Asking this question to myself so that I would be aware of what would situation would gonna come and how do I supposed to solve that situation. All right. So specifically, this question is actually be more focused on growing your business and things like that. Now, regarding about this question, the question says that ki, kind of like a something. What is this question? Okay, how can I improve or change my product to stay ahead? Okay, yeah. Uh, yes, I am not selling any product. My business will gonna kind of like a selling services to the people. Okay, yeah. And if I wanted to improve, it's really essential. If I wanted to grow my business, I need to improve the services that I'm providing. And it's a very essential factor that how do you supposed to improve and stuff like that. What exactly is this thing like basically is this thing na ki it sounded so kind of like a theoretically everyone knows that ki whatever you are selling your product should supposed to be improve and things and that वगैरह 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 okay yeah but what exactly is this thing what exactly is that okay yeah now I am trying to explain from Apple okay Apple phone Apple iPhone phone okay and try to understand what exactly they think okay yeah so Apple is a company, iPhone is a product okay now Apple company will grow when the product of the company is much more become better all right so every year they kind of like make their phone much better much faster much efficient much yeah so when they do that people are really excited and people want to buy their product and when they buy their product they kind of like something get a lot of profit and then the business will gonna grow right yeah so so obviously it's this thing now we improve the product right yeah but how does improve the product like let me tell you one thing in electronics point of perspective it's very easy to understand that he kind of like a something make your product as much better like sorry sorry make your product as much better what do you mean by that it means that ki, what exactly processing power that you have in previous model should supposed to be much better let's just say 10% better or maybe battery you should supposed to be maybe 10% efficient or camera is maybe 10% better okay yeah when we do this little improvement every single year then after a decade you will kind of like get a very refined product that is really amazing and really good okay yeah now this is what kind of like an improvement that you could see that you could kind of like simply see like right now previous model has a little less processing speed this processor is a kind of like a little higher processing speed and things like that so this is kind of like an improvement that you could see okay yeah means like that ki if you are kind of like creating any product or any kind of like services to the people and if you are kind of like improving your product or services and you could see your improvement. Okay, that is called kind of like a something growing and things like that. Like when you see that improvement and things stuff like that. In my condition, things might be very different. Oh yeah, I am not selling any product. I am selling a services. Oh yeah. So it is really essential for me to make my product as much better for every possible point of perspective. How? What is exactly my product? What is exactly that I am trying to tell you? Okay. Let's just say that ki, uh, my product is my artifact. Okay, yeah, like stuff that you are actually hearing is called artifact. What is actually artifact? By the way, I already mentioned previously multiple times in artifact episode, but still, artifact episode is a kind of like a something with a diary. Oh yeah, you wrote the diary every single day. This is what exactly is it. Instead of writing the diary, you will kind of like a recording the diary. Okay, means recording what is actually happening in your life and stuff like that. That is called artifact. Okay. Now this is kind of like a something artifact means like that people will kind of like record their thoughts and things like that. Okay. So what is exactly my services? I'm actually providing such a services where people will kind of like share their thoughts and things like that in my platform. Okay, yeah. Uh, Now, how do I supposed to improve that? Okay, because the value of the services is actually depend on customer, na. Like basically, I'm gonna provide the privacy. I'm gonna provide the kind of like a lot of cool stuff to kind of like a simply make the artifact is as much as better as it can or things like that. But in the end, my the quality of the services is only going to improve by the customer how they are using it. Okay, how they are kind of like a, yeah. So it is my job that he make their artifact is not good. Like basically what is exactly is the same, what is exactly. Okay, because if I'm gonna say, let's just say that Apple company is actually selling the product, I am actually selling a services. Okay, yeah. Now from point of perspective, it kind of like a look very similar. Okay, yeah, but it's very not. What do you mean by that? Let me tell you. Okay, yeah. When you buy iPhone, okay, yeah, Apple product. When you buy any kind of like some Apple product, it will gonna add value to the company. It will not gonna add value to you. What do you mean by that? It means that na ki, like let's just say you bought the iPhone. What kind of like assembly value that you add? Value means like that ki, kind of like improving knowledge or things or that. No, nothing really at all. If I buy any kind of like assembly product from Apple, I don't really get any kind of like assembly value. Huh? My status would kind of like improve. Like people might consider as I'm very rich person because I'm kind of like holding very rich mobile phone. So that's why status will gonna definitely gonna improve. But this is very tertiary thing. Okay, yeah. Internal thing, does it add any kind of like a value? No, nothing really at all. This 1 lakh or 2 lakh rupees of phone is kind of like a work equivalent, kind of like a something as a 20,000 rupees phone. So there is nothing really difference at all. It's just very kind of like a, yeah, it doesn't really add any kind of like a value. Okay. Yeah. But still people are buy that particular product is because of that key, the improvement that you could see. Yeah, like a basically is this thing, let's just say recently there is a new iPhone launch, iPhone 15, iPhone 17, iPhone 17 Pro. Okay, now why are you really excited? Let's just say there is a iPhone launch, iPhone 17 Pro, which has a really good camera, good battery, good display, everything. Okay, yeah. Now when you buy this phone, you might not gonna use that kind of like a sort of advantage in every daily life, until and unless you are kind of like a filmmaker or kind of like a something gamer or kind of like a something is this thing, then yeah. But if you are not that kind of like a person, then probably this improvement is nothing really at all. Example, let's just say that there is a one person is a filmmaker, another person is just a kind of like a somebody just a normal person. Okay, yeah. So basically, when both the person actually buy the iPhone, then filmmaker would kind of like a take a photo, take a video, kind of like a simply utilize that phone to its maximum potential, oh yeah. And when that particular person use that phone to its maximum potential, it will gonna add value. Yeah, it actually create a value. Oh yeah, because when he kind of like a create such a video and photo, he might sell, or he might kind of like a sell those photos on video on social media or internet platform, right? So in the end, it kind of like add value. But let's just say there is a just common person who is not a filmmaker, who is not nothing really at all. He buy kind of like a 2 lakh rupees of iPhone. He was not using any camera. He was not a gamer too. He's not usually using that much processing speed. The utilization of the phone from his point of perspective is nothing. He just kind of like make a call, do some sort of WhatsApp messages, watch bunch of video on YouTube. That's it. Okay, yeah. So when that B person is not utilizing their product to its maximum potential, then for that B person doesn't really get any kind of like a value, right? All right. Now, what I'm trying to tell you is this thing. Then why does so many people are actually buy this phone is because of the luxury item. Yeah, it's because of kind of like some status symbol and things and that. So that's why most of people are actually buy this phone. Okay. But how is kind of like something different from me? How is kind of like something different than like basically is this thing? If I'm trying to compare my services to Apple product. Okay, yeah. So how is kind of like something very different? Okay, yeah. In my services, I'm actually providing artifact. Okay, yeah. People will kind of like something record the artifact. Okay. So when the people will gonna record the artifact, whoever that person is kind of like a rich, poor, who male, female, anyone. Okay, yeah. It will gonna add value in their life. How? Because I am actually doing this thing for almost like a decade, so I know that. But still, okay, let me explain. Okay, yeah. When I record the artifact, okay, I feel like that ki I am improving. I am kind of like a something like that ki I am understanding life is much more better way. Example, okay, yeah. Okay, like kind of like somebody is saying that ki I'm gonna tell my personal experience what I went through. Okay. So basically is this thing na ki when I was in engineering diploma, okay, yeah, there is a kind of like a something particular kind of like a chapter or particular kind of like something subject regarding about 4-stroke combustion engine. Okay, how does 4-stroke combustion engine works and things like that. By the way, at that time, it's a very essential topic, which is actually kind of like essential because that topic is actually covered in exam. So it's really essential for me to understand what exactly is this thing. But when I try to read a book, it just not possible. It just like that. Everything is kind of like a bounce. It just kind of like a bouncing. It just I don't really consume any kind of like I was kind of like reading this. Oh, this is a suction, power, exhaust, and things. These are kind of like assembly, steps of the internal combustion things and stuff like that. By the way, there are 4. Okay, suction, compression, power, and exhaust. Okay, okay, suction, compression, power, and exhaust. Okay, but I don't really get any kind of like a stuff. By the way, at that time, I was kind of like somebody recording artifact. Okay, I'm not really sure am I record, but I'm pretty sure I'm recording this thing. Okay, so what exactly happening? Okay, so I was kind of like reading that textbooks or things or notes doesn't really add up any kind of like a value. Okay, yeah. Now what I did, I went to YouTube and I looked for internal combustion engine, how it work in animation. Okay, yeah. I watched that video and I understand entirely. Okay, and I understand entirely. It was really good, really great. It was like really nice. Okay, yeah. Now I realize that if I consume information through video format, it would be really good. Okay, yeah. Now I understand that this particular subject. Now exam came, and I try to kind of like a something whatever I understand, I wrote it down. Okay, yeah. Still, I fail in that particular exam. What do you mean by that? Oh yeah, like did you not understand? No, I understand. Then why did you fail? Because of that, ki I I understand, but I didn't really practice. I didn't really practice. So I was like very frustrated. I'm not really sure why this happened and stuff like that. After a couple of years after, I was kind of like explain this thing in Artifact, that how internal combustion engine work, how does suction, compression, power and exhaust, how those all those processes actually happen, how this thing happened, how kind of like a simply the ignite of spark, or kind of like a simply the compression of the fuel kind of like a pull the piston back down and stuff like that. I kind of like a simply explain this thing in Artifact. Okay, yeah. And when I explain this thing, I understand more about kind of like a somebody that particular four stroke, yeah, internal combustion engine work. Like what is exactly point that I'm trying? My point that I'm trying to tell you is this thing that ki when you share your thoughts, you actually gain more. Like basically we have kind of like a phrase in Hindi that ki ज्ञान बांटने से बढ़ता है. And this is what exactly is it. When you kind of like share the information, okay, yeah, share the information means what? Share means like I'm not kind of like asking share means like that, sharing through WhatsApp and things like that. No, I'm not asking that thing. I'm actually saying that कि sharing information means like that कि you actually legitimately from your mouth you are actually explaining stuff. Okay, that is called kind of like assembly. When you kind of like share the information, share the knowledge to someone else, you actually add information inside of you much more in detail. Okay, yeah. What I'm trying to tell you, what exactly is this thing? One of the best uh, way to consume the information is to transfer the information through your mouth or through your things. That if you do that, if you do that, you will gonna consume more and more information. And this is what exactly artifact is actually offering. Artifact means like that ki, like basically is this thing na ki it kind of like a give you opportunity to share. Obviously in other end there might be kind of like a people who are kind of like a listening and things like that, but when you are kind of like a sharing, you are kind of like a sharing through just a mobile phone kind of like a recording and stuff like that. But when you do that, you actually learn more, get more, add value more in your life. Okay, yeah. And this is what kind of like is only beauty of this artifact. When the people will gonna record, it kind of like a give them opportunity to share and things like that. Not only, there are other things too. Let me tell you one thing, that ki we our life is really messed up. Okay, yeah, like basically is this thing that ki like most of people say that ki no, my life is not messed up, my life is really good and things and that, but we know that we have a problem. Okay, yeah, we know that we have a problem. Every human is actually born with kind of like some sort of problem in their life and stuff like that. Okay, yeah. Now problem is that कि sometimes na we don't really have any kind of like an answer, or we don't really have any kind of like an answer for that problem, or sometimes you just have to face that problem. There is no option at all. You just have to face this thing. But when you face this problem, you actually kind of like went through very terrible situation and stuff like that. And basically you need kind of like you need to kind of like express your thoughts. Like basically you don't seek for answer, you don't really seek for solution. No, you just wanted to express the thoughts, you just wanted to share the thoughts. Example, when I was kind of like doing my job, I was dying every single day. that corporate thing and stuff like that, it just like really fucking my mind. But what is actually beauty of me at that moment, that I was kind of like a recording artifact at that moment, and whatever is actually happened, good or bad or whatever it is, I just express this thing. It kind of like a let me let me let me open up myself regarding about everything. Okay, what is actually sometimes what is actually this thing na, sometimes we don't really need a kind of like a solution. We need a kind of like a person who could hear things up, hear kind of like a somebody that key what is actually happening, stuff like that. This is what kind of like a somebody artifact is actually offering them. Okay, because let me tell you one thing, might be you have a girlfriend, so that might kind of like a girlfriend or boyfriend might kind of like a listen to you and things and that, but that particular person will not gonna listen for more, like basically he would gonna listen, but probably is saying that particular person is also is a human too. Okay, yeah. And let me tell you one thing now, ki we are humans. Okay, yeah. And we love to talk. What do you mean by love to talk? Yeah, we love to talk. Yeah, like most of people don't really accept this thing, but we love to talk. We love to kind of like a somebody share what is actually happened with our life and things and that. Now also we are really hate to listen. What do you mean that we are really hate to listen? Okay, listen means like that, like people will kind of like like let's just say, okay, let me explain. Okay, yeah. Not explain. Okay, okay, let me explain. Okay, what exactly is this thing? Okay, yeah. So let's just say that you are in relationship with a girl. Okay, yeah. And that girl is kind of like a somebody blabbering every single time. She was kind of like a somebody telling about her life, what she went through, her families and stuff. She was kind of like a mentioning to her new boyfriend. Now this boyfriend, it just like basically just like that na, he was kind of like a listening those stuff that he don't want to listen, but still he listened that thing. That's a reality of truth, by the way. Okay, yeah. And this is true, like basically this thing na, ki if you are saying this thing that ki dude, it's like it's her boyfriend, so that boyfriend should supposed to be listen, right? Yeah, yeah, that is true, definitely that boyfriend should supposed to be listen, but he didn't really like it, na man. He didn't really like it, like he was kind of like a listening this thing is because of she is actually girlfriend, and yeah, let's just listen that stuff I have. Okay, yeah. By the way, if you are kind of like a thinking that that boyfriend will gonna listen for early relationship, earlier relation means like that ki, let's just say that ki you fall in love, you had a relationship, you build a relationship, and for at least like a 5 year, that particular boyfriend will gonna listen this thing or stuff and stuff like that. And then after that, that boyfriend will kind of cope up with that particular process, and then that particular person, that boyfriend might not gonna listen, or kind of like a something. Yeah, what is exactly this thing, why this particular person might not gonna listen, what exactly is this thing, is because of interest, dude. Interest. Okay, yeah. Now I'm not saying that that woman or that girlfriend is not beautiful, or maybe they are kind of like a something lack of love, or maybe kind of like a misconception. No, nothing at all. I'm trying to tell you my perspective as a human point of perspective. We are human. Okay, and we always seek for new information. We always seek for new information and things like that. When we are getting one stuff again, again, we cooped up, and it kind of like a feels boring, and it happened to the everything. Okay, like let's just say you love chocolate. Okay, yeah. And I gave this chocolate to you. At first you might gonna eat like a really good, like yeah, like you love chocolate and you love eating that chocolate at the first time. Okay, and then after that I gave it again, you might gonna eat again. I gave it again, then again, then again. Like basically is this thing, I gave you almost like a 10 chocolate, and you eat it really good. After I give 11th of chocolate, you might gonna say no, I don't want that chocolate, just yeah. This is what it is. It's kind of like a things that na ki when we are getting one thing again and again and again, it just kind of like somebody feels like a not good. Okay, no, but also let me correct. Okay, this is kind of like a simply the thought process that we created, like a we build kind of like a bore, or we build kind of like a de-interest regarding about particular stuff, is about non-living thing. Okay, but about the living thing, it might be very different. What do you mean by that? Like as I mentioned that ki the boyfriend might get like a not interested after the 5 year of the relationship and things like that, right? But uh, I seen there are so many people who are kind of like a relationship for till the lifetime. They are kind of like their bond is becoming really stronger and things and that they don't really have kind of like a de-interest and things like that. Then what's actually happened with them is actually happen with them with the communication. What do you mean by that? Let me tell you one thing. What is exactly communication? You have to understand. Okay, communication means not just talk. Communication means like that ki you also communicate and you also listen to. This is also really essential. Let me tell you one thing. When the girl and boy fall in relationship, and they are kind of like a somebody, the girl is actually saying about stuff and stuff and stuff and stuff like that, and boy just listening. Okay, now boy didn't really get kind of like a somebody opportunity to share. He also wanted to share, but the girl didn't really listen. Okay, so when this thing happened, it is called lack of communication. As I mentioned, communication happened when you speak and when you listen. You share the information, you consume the information. When you do both the thing, that is called communication. Okay, but when the one person is actually saying, other person just listening, this is not a communication. Okay, this is not a communication. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you, the people who have kind of like a really strong relationship for almost like 100 years, they live the life with really great, is because of way that they communicate. They not only the girl just sharing stuff, that girl is kind of like a listening to, and the boy is not listening to, he is also really sharing. So communication happened with them, and it is really good. So communication is really essential factor. Okay, so when you communicate, you actually build up things and that. Okay, fuck, I just completely forget my point. What is actually the point that I'm trying to tell you? One point that I'm trying to tell you is this thing na ki when you communicate, when you express your thoughts and things like that, you actually know more, you actually gain more. Okay, like as I mentioned while I was kind of like explaining the four stroke internal combustion system, how it's work. When I kind of like explain this thing in artifact, I understand everything. Okay, and you actually experience this thing in your life too. Okay, like basically is this thing when you kind of like somebody sharing any kind of like somebody a hard topic to your friend or things like that, or maybe let's just say that ki you are kind of like explaining trigonometry to your friend or things like that, you might know more about trigonometry. So this is what it is, and this is what kind of like an artifact is kind of like a simply offer a value to you. It add value when you kind of like share your thoughts or things or that. it it legitly it sometimes, I don't know how is actually work, but it work, it definitely work. You really love it, you really explain it, and you just understand your, like it's a kind of like a simply flower. Okay, and that flower is actually blooming when you record the artifact. You just like that slowly you just understand the everything around you and things and that, obviously the way that you kind of like talk and stuff like that. Okay, this is what kind of like a simply value that I wanted to offer to the people. And what I'm trying to tell you, this is I can't control. Okay, what exactly is this thing, what I'm trying to tell you? Okay, I previously explained that key, if the iPhone company, if the Apple company has a product as iPhone, okay, if they wanted to improve their processing speed, they can improve their processing speed by kind of like a simply improve their technology or things or that means like that key. the improvement of the iPhone doesn't really rely on customer. It rely on them. It rely on them. Okay, yeah. But in my case, if I wanted to improve my services, it's sorely depend on user that they are how they are using and stuff like that. When they are kind of like a using my application, my artifact for right purposes, for kind of like adding values or things or that, then it will gonna add improvement, then it gonna add value inside of their life. And when it add value in their life, that means they actually consider that okay, this is a platform is really good and stuff like that, and then I will grow and things like that. Grow means like that ki, like basically that particular person will gonna record the artifact for every single day. Yeah, when that particular person will gonna record artifact every single day, he or she will improve his life as well as kind of like a simply improve my platform too, right? So this is what is it, this is what kind of like a simply whole scenario and stuff like that. Okay, yeah. So what you will gonna do to kind of like a simply what you will gonna do to kind of like a simply let your user will gonna kind of like a simply add value in their life by utilizing your platform or utilizing this artifact. How, what can I do, how well, I teach them regarding about how this thing is work and stuff like that. By the way, it's not rocket science. Okay, yeah. And basically is this thing that the improvement is not just gonna happen in just one single day or things like that. Let me tell you one thing. Okay, I am recording artifact for 10 years, almost like a decade. Okay, at the beginning I was recording artifact very stupidly. Like basically is this thing na ki I was recording that ki what exactly happened in my day. I just kind of like I say I woke up this time, I went to school, I went to college, I did this, I did that and that and that and that. I just explain the stuff what exactly happened in my life and that's it. Nothing really at all. While kind of like doing it that I'm not adding any kind of like a value in my life. I'm not doing anything at all. I'm just doing it. And when I'm doing that thing, it's the recording artifact became kind of like a something very just not good stuff. It's kind of like a boring. As I mentioned, it kind of like a de-interest. Okay, yeah, because I'm doing the same thing again and again, trying to tell what exactly happened, and there is nothing really happened new in my life. Like kind of like a something same. I wake up morning, I went to the tuition, I went to the school, I went to the college, I come home, I went to the workout, just normal and stuff like that. But when I ask question in artifact, when I started asking question to myself, then it add value while recording artifact. Because when I ask question, I realize the purposeful. I realize that ki I have this question. Now I have to be explain stuff. Okay, let me tell you one thing. Let me kind of like give you the scenario. Tell me the interest level of two situation. Situation number first. What exactly happened in your life? What exactly happened in your day? You're gonna mention this happened, this happened, this happened. It depends on what exactly happened in your day. And by the way, every day is not kind of like something very interesting, just very usual and common and things like that. Whoever the person you are, it's a very common. Until and unless there is a kind of like a somebody one day in life, things might be very different, but most of the days kind of like a very common. Okay. So when you try to explain what exactly happened in your day, you might have little less interest. Okay. Okay, yeah. Now, situation number 2. Okay. In that particular situation, I mention that ki tell me the first experience when you fall in love with someone else or when you feel attracted towards someone else. Okay, right now it's kind of like really interesting. Because of that, ki we are human and we definitely have a little bit attraction to the anybody, and first time we had attraction with somebody, we can't really forget that stuff. Okay, yeah. And right now when we are trying to explain this thing regarding about like a like when the first time I kind of like this girl or like this boy or stuff like that, when you try to explain this thing, you are feeling purposeful. You are kind of like telling the story what exactly happened. You went through this school and this boy and this class, this boy is actually kind of like a sitting ahead of us and things. We don't really kind of like a talk for at least like a weeks and things and that and that and that. So do you understand? You are actually kind of like a telling a kind of like a story and things like that. So what I'm trying to tell you is this thing: the interest level of talking about what is actually happened in your day, and interest level of kind of like a talking about the question, giving the answer, who do you think which will that you are really interested to speak? Obviously second one, that you are kind of like really interested to speak. Okay, that means the question is really much essential. It kind of like a gives you a purpose to record artifact. Okay, yeah. And not just kind of like only romantic, any kind of like only question. Okay, yeah, like basically I'm actually asking this question as a business point of perspective regarding about how do I supposed to grow my business and things like that. So yeah, I actually asked this question to myself because like basically I wanted to kind of like improve my life and stuff like that. Okay, yeah. Other people are kind of like really interested in economics. They will ask question regarding about economics. Other person might interested regarding about the automation or automobile or manufacturing or politics or anything at all. Okay, yeah. Every person comes with a very different things and talent and stuff like that, right? So people will kind of like only choose what kind of like only question they wanted to give the answer, and they just do it. Or my system or my application will understand that ki what kind of like a person you are, means like that ki the people who are don't know what is actually their interest and things like that. So on behalf my application will kind of like understand you, understand that ki what is actually your personality, what kind of like a stuff that you are really love to speak or really love to kind of like share the thoughts and things like that, by kind of like understanding what kind of like some the previous artifact episode. And it kind of like a give you the, it kind of like a suggest you such a questions that you love to share and stuff like that. What I'm trying to tell you is this thing: how do I supposed to be add value in my artifact? By asking question to user, so that user will really feel really good to share their thoughts and things like that. And if this thing happen, not only user get value, but as a company also get value too. And this is what kind of like some stuff that I would gonna do to kind of like simply improve the change of product and stay ahead and things like that. Okay, yeah. By the way, it's a very vague thing. Okay, yeah. It's not gonna happen in just day. It takes time. Like basically it's this thing that now I'm actually recording this artifact, very quality of artifact episode is because of I'm doing this thing for almost like a decade of experience. Okay, yeah. I kind of like a master regarding about like awkwardness. Like basically when I record the artifact, I was really awkward and stuff like that. But right now I'm not really awkward. I kind of like express my thoughts very like very vividly. Okay, yeah. So basically this thing now, it is not gonna happen just like 1 or 2 or 3 years. Nothing will happen. It takes time. It takes time. You just have to be patient and things like that. But still this is kind of like stuff, this kind of like some of these steps that I do to improve my business or things like that, to stay ahead, whatever it is kind of like saying. All right. So this is it. I should supposed to be end here, and thank you.